The opinions expressed on this program represent the viewpoints of individual authors or contributors and do not necessarily reflect those of Troy University. This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Fortunate to have as our guest young Hampton Harris, who is a candidate for the 2nd Congressional District of Alabama. Hampton, good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me on.
I asked Hampton how old he was. I thought he was about 32 or 33 or young, but he's now 29 years old.
That's right, yes, sir. It's a young one getting started. You don't see that a lot in politics these days, especially not on the conservative side of things.
I know it. Hampton, you be 30 soon, though, won't you?
That's right. In the end of August, I'll be 30, so we're getting close to that milestone.
Now, Hampton, you're a lawyer by profession and a realtor, aren't you?
That's right. So I grew up in Montgomery.
You grew up here? Did you go to school?
I did. I was one of 7 children. I have
7 children.
4 sisters and 2 brothers. We grew up here in Montgomery, and actually my mom homeschooled us all the way through high school.
All the way through high school?
Yes, sir. Every one of us. And so
all 7?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
what number are you?
I'm the 2nd oldest. I have an older brother than me, then a younger sister, and then a brother and 3 more sisters.
How'd you get that name Hampton? Is that a family name?
It is. It was a family name, and we've just all have, actually most of us have H names. My older brother's Forrest Hunter. I always grew up calling him Hunter. And then my younger brother Howlett, so we all had H names there.
Is that right?
Then most of the girls came later, so we all started getting outvoted on things. So that
Hampton
was
Harris,
kind of sad.
all your H's.
Yes, sir.
And all homeschool. Where'd you go to college?
So I went to college at AUM.
Right here in Montgomery?
Right here in Montgomery. I got majored in economics. And
now, did you grow up here in the city limits of Montgomery?
So I grew up in Bellhurst in Montgomery. And
That's
then,
in Montgomery?
Yes, sir. And then right up there off of Perry Hill, and then in the early 2000s, we moved out to Pike Road when it was still a road out there, essentially. Grew up Pinkston store on the corner and all of that. And so they went out there. It was fun. So many deer and everything out there. So I grew up hunting and fishing and really gardening and doing all that kind of stuff.
You know, my good friend Mr. Bubba Trotman owned a lot of that land when you were growing up out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pike Road's been one of the biggest growth stores in the state, you know?
It really has. It's grown big, and it was fun. We were there while it was being developed, and they built all the neighborhoods around, and we'd have all the deer from those woods come in. We'd have 25, 30 deer in our yard at a time. I remember that growing up. It was a lot of fun out there.
I enjoy, I had on my show every year, Will Barfoot, Senator Will Barfoot.
Yes, sir.
He actually born and raised out there.
He was.
His family from there.
That's right. That's right. And him and my mother know each other. I can't remember if they went to law school together or high school, but they have some kind of connection there as well. But he's a really good. He's been serving our state very well, and really good guy to know. I've really enjoyed knowing him.
He's one of my
through the years.
favorite people. You know, we're a little bit kin to each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mama's people are named Grant, and they're from China Grove in North Pike County.
Yeah.
Right there, right on the Montgomery County line. If you look at the map, Pike Road and China Grove are about the same place.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that could really be in Montgomery or Pike County. But our ancestors, he called me one Christmas Day. He looked it up online, but I got my family Bible out and says, my great-great-grandma was a Barfoot.
Wow.
And so he had an uncle named Joel Barfoot,
yes, sir,
who was a county commissioner from over there. And I saw him at a political event one time. He says, Flowers, well, you know, you and I kind of kin each other. I said, well, I thought that because I knew I had some Barfoots in my family. And if you look at a map, they are right there from the same area. Pike Road and China Grove are one area, really.
That's very true. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so grew up in the area, and then like I said, went to AUM and got my real estate.
Hey, it's right there in your neighborhood, isn't
it? It is. I wanted to go local because I wanted to hunt and fish on the weekends. And
you
after
love
class.
hunting and fishing.
I love hunting and fishing. Always out there. So I was either doing that, helping my uncle on his cattle farm, or just doing gardening, that kind of stuff. My mom actually has been been the head of several TV shows as well.
What's her name?
Stacey Harris.
Yeah, she have a show like in Montgomery?
She does, and it was on the Outdoor Channel for a while.
Okay.
Talking about how to cook wild game and that kind of stuff. So we had all the different wild game cookbooks and gardening cookbooks and that kind of stuff. And so that was a lot of fun.
So you grew up hunting and fishing?
I did, yes, sir.
Right there in Pike Road?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And that's just what I love doing, being out there and just being in the woods. It's a lot of fun. So I went to AUM so I could do that either after class or on the weekends or whatever. I didn't have to be far away
What'd you
somewhere.
major in?
I got an economics degree.
That's good.
Yes, sir. So did that and actually worked in the ER for a while here in Montgomery. I worked at all the Baptists in Montgomery and Prattville and East and South, all those, and worked in the ER and saw a lot of what was going on in Montgomery. So it kind of piqued my interest into a lot of how Montgomery's operated and what we can do to fix problems. There's a lot of drug problems in there and a lot of issues with people coming in needing a lot of mental health and that kind of stuff, especially the veteran community. And so kind of piqued my interest. And then I went up to Cumberland or Sanford University, Cumberland School of Law school up there, and met my wife, Abby, up there.
Where's she from?
She's originally from New Orleans, and they moved to Atlanta after Katrina took their house out. And so she grew up there, and we met in law school. And she was on ed delay. She commissioned in the Air Force, and so she's a JAG attorney now at Maxwell.
So she's here with them. We got her being JAG Maxwell. That's good.
Yes, sir. So she does all of that work for them, all their prosecution work, and she's a really good prosecutor. So that doesn't help me in any of my arguments at home. But
do you do any law, or you just do real estate?
I do some law. I do mostly real estate. I own a real estate brokerage in Montgomery, Harris Realty Group, and I run it and have some people working for me. And
residential, commercial, both?
Both, but mostly commercial, and it's been a lot of fun doing that. I'm actually licensed in 4 states now, and so we've worked all over the Southeast doing very big commercial deals and making. I think that would help a lot in the political world as well, because there's a lot of, when you're a realtor, you're working with 2 sides trying to come to an agreement, and most of the time both of them one wants a low price, one wants a high price, and you have to find a way to make everybody happy. So
that's exactly right.
It's been a lot of experience there trying to work through those deals, and tensions are high when there's millions on the line.
Hampton, what about, you enjoy the real estate more than law, don't you?
I probably do. It's really fun finding a really good deal, but I think the law also helps just have an understanding of how it all works and really know how to get that experience in mediation and knowing what someone's going to need and that kind of thing. It kind of plays into every aspect of your life. And I think that also would help a lot in politics, knowing how the laws are read, how they're written. I'm the only attorney in the race, and so we're working. I think that really comes in handy when you're working with law. You know,
you were running for the district. To remind our viewers, this election is right around the corner. It's August 11th.
That's right.
And to remind our viewers about what's happened, it's been very confusing for people, is the federal courts came in and changed our old 2nd district and combined it with the 1st, Mobile and Baldwin, which surely was not a community of interest by any means. Neither people in Mobile and Baldwin didn't like it, and people in Montgomery and Wiregrass didn't like it, but it was done by the federal courts, made it a Democratic district. But the Supreme Court has come in here at the last minute and probably ruling against the Voting Rights Act, so the legislature's been able to change it back to basically like it was. Now, the one tweak in that thing from what it was, you were running in the old one.
That's right.
You were the only candidate from Montgomery, too.
That's right.
And you the only candidate from Montgomery in this one?
I am. So going back to that race, I mean, like most of your viewers probably know, and I know you know very well, this district was redrawn to be a minority-majority district back in 24. And so they had a Democrat win this district, and I was the only Republican that got in the race back in January. So we've been running full steam ahead as the Republican nominee into May. Well, the Supreme Court dropped their ruling in Louisiana case, the Calais case, that said we can't use race in redrawing our district lines. And so Alabama had a special session. We passed the new maps that our legislators had drawn, and we re-qualified for that election. So I re-qualified, and then the 3-judge panel said, no, you can't use those maps. Go back to the old maps. So we flipped back, and I re-qualified for the old maps again. And then the Supreme Court said, yes, you can use that map. So we flipped back again. So I've qualified already 3 times for this race. And so I tell everybody that I'm overqualified for the job. And so and a lot of people have already voted in the May 19th primary.
They tell you that, don't they?
They do.
So I've already voted for it. What are you doing and running again?
That's exactly right. And so it's also one of those races that it's one of the few times Republicans can say vote early and vote often and really mean it.
I like that.
And so we're heading into an August 11th primary, less than 3 weeks away, and so I went from being the Republican nominee to having Republican opposition, and I'm the only one up here from the north side of the district. And
you really are the only one from Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
And that's the one thing that tweaked it, Hampton, is that they put all of Montgomery County in that district.
That's right. That's right.
You know, that's interesting.
It is.
Said if anybody knows Montgomery, you do.
That's right. I grew up here. I've been here my whole life. This is my home. And my wife, like I said, is at Maxwell, and I understand kind of the intricacies of how this city works. And I've seen through the years how they tried to get rid of the Gunner Annex and all of this, and they're trying to pull that away. And that's something that a lot of people don't know about, but is really crucial to Montgomery to make sure we keep Gunner and Maxwell and the 187th here. And we have such a huge number of veterans here as well that we need to be looking out for. And recently we've seen a lot of those veterans have a lot of their say taken away through Senate Bill 67. And we have a mental health crisis in Alabama for veterans as well, and we need to make sure we're getting them their help.
Hampton, speaking of that, you and I talked about this earlier. You know, I don't know if the average, even Montgomeryan, realizes how important Maxwell Gunner, the base is to this economy of this city. I remember sitting here 10 years ago when Todd Strange was the mayor of Montgomery. We were sitting here talking about it, and I lamented to him. I said, because there'd been a downturn in the economy and there were loss in state jobs. I said, Mayor, I believe it. I hate to see your economy is probably hurt because of the loss of state employees, which is your biggest employer. I assume state government was the largest employer. He said, Steve, state government's not our biggest employer. I said, oh, is Hyundai gotten bigger now? He says, no, Maxwell Gunner is.
Right.
And I had known that the same way Rucker is and the Wiger is. I don't know that Maxwell Gunner means as much to Montgomery as Rucker does to the Wiger is.
That's right.
So you know what committees you need to be on, don't you?
That's exactly right. We need the Armed Services Committee here, and it's huge in my life because, number one, active duty military wife. She's actually, if I'm elected, I will be the only congressman with an active duty spouse.
Out of 435 members of Congress?
Yes, sir.
There's no active duty spouse?
There's no active duty spouses out there. And I would actually be the youngest sitting Republican congressman
you
as well.
Would be. You'd be the youngest, and you'd be the youngest at 30 years old.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Current sitting. I mean,
Is
there's been
that
younger
right?
in the past, but
You'd be the youngest congressman.
a Republican congressman. There is a
Republican
younger Democrat down in, I believe, he's in Florida. Yes, sir.
I'd be the youngest. Speaking of that, have you ever seen the movie Distinguished Gentleman?
I don't think I've seen that.
You
one.
need to see that's a funny show. Eddie
Okay.
Murphy's in it. It's about a freshman congressman from Florida.
Okay.
Some congressman dies, and Eddie Murphy takes his name. You just select no name ID. His name's Jeff Johnson.
I'm gonna watch it.
Distinguished Gentleman. Put it up.
I'm going to do it.
Anyway, but you'd be the youngest Republican and only spouse with that thing.
It is, and that's something that's important as well, because I know. First, going back to what we were talking about, military is super important, and what affects the military affects me directly because of my wife, and I have one grandfather that fought in Vietnam. My other one was Air Force, and so and the one in Vietnam was Marines, and so I have a direct tie to a lot of veterans in the area as well, and I've watched how they needed help from the VA and through medical and mental health, and it's something that is very close to home for me, and I understand that kind of thing. And working in the emergency room, I saw a lot of that as well, and so that's something that's really big to me is making sure our veterans and our military is taken care of. And then also, like we were talking about, being young. Our younger generation in America generally isn't even involved in politics anymore. And if they are, they're buying into the socialist communist lies that they're being told. And it's really sad. And they need to be able to see that you can be young and make a difference and get up there and fight, because so much of our congressmen and congresswomen up in D.C., it seems you have to be 85 before you're allowed to run. And it's not the way it always was. Our founders were young men, and they were working on all of that, and it's something that our young community needs to get involved in. We need to make sure that they know that we can make a difference, and we have to be involved so that you can make a difference that way. And don't buy into socialism and communism, which used to be a dirty word, and now it seems to be kind of the norm. And it's a sad reality that we need to turn back. And I've seen a lot of people really happy that I'm involved in getting the younger people coming up to me like this is really exciting.
Where do you go to church here?
Brewer Memorial out in Pike Road. It's
have a denomination of any kind?
I believe it's Baptist, and it's across from across from the John Hall store out there.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
it's a smaller church, and I grew up in Fraser. My grandfather taught at Fraser he's still teaching.
Is that right?
He's still
What was
teaching.
his name?
Keep Harris. He's still.
He was a dentist. They kept talking
He
about?
was at the VA, and he was in the military as a dentist and in the Air Force, and so he's been teaching at Fraser since the early 70s.
He's still doing it?
He's still doing it.
How old is he?
He is born in 42, 84 years old.
How old is John Ed Matheson now? I have him on my show periodically.
I'm not sure
He's
about.
sharp as a tack.
He is. I saw him yesterday. And him and my grandfather started at Fraser within about a year of each other, a little bit less.
I bet they're good friends. aren't
They're very good friends, very close friends.
Uh-huh.
And so they mean a lot. They're both really big role models in my life. Watching them.
I love
up.
John Ed Matheson.
Yes, sir.
I've
me
had him
too.
on this show where you're sitting several times.
Yes, sir.
He still writes and does TV shows, everything.
He does.
Every week.
And I talk to him a lot, and he's like you said, sharp, and he knows the word so backwards and forwards through the Bible. It's just.
You know, his daddy was a famous preacher.
Real. I didn't know
yes,
that.
sir. But one of the most famous, his name was Si.
Okay, yes, sir.
Si Matheson. He pastored the biggest church over in Opelika and First Methodist over there, and he was a legendary, one of the most legendary Methodist ministers. And he has a brother that's as famous as he is over there. Took over that church.
Oh, wow.
All of them Methodist ministers.
That's really cool.
You know, a history part of Alabama is a lot of Methodist ministers' sons have been leaders in Alabama politics.
That's
the
really
Methodist
interesting.
Church has just dominated politics in Alabama.
That's very interesting.
But John Ed is one of my favorites.
He is mine as well. He's like I said, a huge role model in my life. Him and my grandfather both there. And so I grew up in Fraser, and then moved up to Pike Road, and we've been.
Well, you probably got enough Kim folks to get you a lot of votes here in Montgomery County.
That's right. That's right. We've got a big family, and I love it that way. You don't find friends as true as family is out there. It's something that I'm very happy to be part of.
There's an old adage in Alabama politics: if people vote for someone from their neck of the woods. I would harp on the fact that I'm from Montgomery.
Okay.
Because folks will say, I'm going to vote for the Montgomery County.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what Ron Creel argues to me about.
Yes, sir.
He said, we ain't had a Montgomery-based candidate in the 2nd District since Bill Dickinson. Bill Dickinson really wasn't from Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
And so Everett was from the Wiregrass. Barrymore was from the Wiregrass.
Yes, sir.
So this district's been represented by the Wiregrass.
It has, and this has been my home my entire life. I've been here, besides going up to law school, and we spent 2 years over in Warner Robins, or a little bit less, with Abby and my wife, and I've been in Montgomery the rest of my life.
Well, I'd spend my last few days in Montgomery County.
Yes, sir.
But you get your kinfolks out. Be so few folk voting on August 11th. If you get your kinfolks to go vote, you may win.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's going to be such low turnout.
Somebody said if you go vote for yourself, you might win. You know?
That's exactly right.
There's going to be very few people voting.
There are. Nobody.
On August 11th, in the middle of the summertime, they don't know there's a race going on.
School's starting back. People have voted 2 times already, and going here.
One race
on the ballot. It's just those names. It's going to be very low turnout. And that's why it's important for people to get out there, because your vote now counts for 5 times what it does in a general election.
It really does. Well, tell me, what other parts of the district have you had a good time campaigning in?
I've loved the whole district, but I just love Alabama. Alabama is the greatest state in the union, and
it really is.
So I love it. So I've had a blast going all over. We've been to Dothan the past week, and Enterprise. We've been to Eufaula. We've been over to Russell County and Phoenix City. We've been in Greenville yesterday.
I didn't know Russell County was in that district.
Yes, sir. So,
was it in the old first? It wasn't in the first, was it?
It wasn't in the first. It was in. It was in the.
That new first, the Democratic district.
It was not. It was in the new second still, and so.
You know, Hampton, I said this. Looking at the numbers, there was no way that a Republican could win that old first district. They'd drawn it for a Democrat to win. And they drew it to be competitive, that a Republican could get 45% of the votes. But that's about it. And I think Caroline Dobson got about as many votes she could get.
She got a lot of votes, and
she got all she could get.
It would have been really, really hard for someone to win. We would have had to have counted on having a really good Republican turnout and a really bad Democrat turnout.
But you know what? On the coin side of that, they did flip it to where it is going to be a Republican district, and whoever wins y'all's primary on August 11th will win that seat ultimately. But it's going to be close.
It is.
It's not going to be a given.
That's right.
Because Figures will have a lot of Democratic money out of Washington, and they probably know that it's going to be close, but not close only counts in horseshoes. You know.
That's exactly
so it's
right.
like, you know, I don't know that they, but whoever wins that seat, whether it's you or whoever, y'all will win ultimately.
Yes,
but
sir.
It ain't gonna be.
Yes, sir.
It ain't gonna be
The Democrats are putting a
close.
lot of money into it, and that's what makes it a dangerous race here. People don't need to overlook.
Well, all of Montgomery County being in it makes it. That's what makes it more than the old second district was.
That's right.
See, the old second district, they came in and carved some of the people out of Montgomery.
That's
put them
right.
In the interior Sewell seventh district. And this new lines.
And it also had, I believe, if I remember correctly, all of Elmore last time as well.
That's right.
And it's half of the southern half of Elmore this time.
How much Elmore do you get?
So it goes up, and it's kind of like a semicircle going up to get Wetumpka and the southern side of Elmore, all the way up to about just north of the Tutwiler. It looks like on the maps on there is where it's. I mean, just south of it, and just north of it turns into District 6 and remains in Gary Palmer's current district.
Boy, I like Gary Palmer. We got a good delegation. You'll have some good mentors if you win that seat. You got Mike Rogers, Chairman of Armed Services.
That's right.
Now you'll need to try to get on Armed Services.
Yes, sir.
And so Rogers probably can help you do that. He knows how important Rucker and Maxwell Gunner are to the Wiregrass.
That's exactly
Montgomery.
right.
But then the fourth district, one of my favorite people in the world is Robert Adderholt.
Yes, sir.
He's been a great congressman and got there at a young age like you.
Yes, sir.
He
Yes, sir.
was like 30 years old. You know
Okay,
that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's been there 30 years.
Wow.
He's only 62 years old. His birthday's next week.
Wow.
He'll be 61.
That's really cool.
He got there at 31 years old.
Yes, sir.
Boy, that's the thing about your age. You get there at 31 years old, you're going to have some seniority.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to be fighting for term limits, but we'll see where that goes as well.
Adderholt in the fourth, the fifth, Strong's doing a good job. Then Gary Palmer in the sixth.
Yes, sir.
You got some good mentors. Y'all all stick together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, tell me where else. You been to Pike County, Andy?
Been to Pike County, been down in Troy a lot, down there, and been over in Crenshaw a good bit as well, in Laverne. And
What about Geneva?
Yes, sir. Went down there, and I'm going down there again next week. Been down there last week as well, and it's a great district.
You feel like you're in Florida when you're in Geneva, don't you?
You do. You definitely get the heat.
I spoke to a soil and conservation group down there, the state soil and conservation, that part of the state last Wednesday, and I got in my car and I said, "Well, good Lord, I can tell why people don't go to the beach in the summertime, because you can tell it acts a little bit hotter."
It is so hot.
I mean, right there at that Hartford, it was in Hartford, right there on the Florida line. I said, "Good Lord, it's hot."
That's right.
You know, I said, "I'm used to summertime in Alabama. Doggone, it's hot in Hartford." I said, "That's something."
It is, but it's a great district, like I said. We've been running, and it was important for me to get into this race. Just like I said before, when it was a Democrat race, it was an uphill battle. It was going to be a extremely long shot, but I wasn't willing to let him go in without having a challenger and just walk into a second term representing us like that. Because what I tell people is this nation was founded that we have senators and president and congressmen and women, and they represent us. But we, the people, are the leaders of this nation. And with that, we have the responsibility to ensure that we elect someone that represents us and is going to uphold Jesus in D.C. Because if we don't do it, nobody's going to do that on our behalf.
That's exactly right.
And so I wanted to make sure that we tried to run. I jumped in the race and ran to make sure we can uphold Jesus.
I'm glad you're doing that. Well, Hampton, time's up. It's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a blast. Yes,
I
sir.
told you it'd be like sitting on the front porch.
That's exactly right. It is.
I'm glad I've gotten to know you. I've heard a lot of good, nice things about you over the last couple of years, and you got a real good reputation. And
I appreciate that.
I wish you well in the August 11th election, and thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. I've had a blast.
Folks, our guest today has been young Hampton Harris, who is a candidate of the 2nd Congressional District of Alabama. We thank you viewers for watching. Hope you're tuning in next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you. Thanks, Hampton.
This has been Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, a production of Troy University Television. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Troy University, its administration, faculty, staff, or students.